Over the holiday, a video came out of yet another white woman calling the police on a black man for doing simply normal things. Take a look.
Sir, I'm asking you to stop.
Please don't come close to me.
Sir, I'm asking you to stop recording me.
Please don't come close to me.
Please take your phone off.
Please don't come close to
And
me.
I'm taking a picture and calling the cops.
Please call the cops. Please call the cops.
I'm going to tell them there's an African American man threatening my life.
Please tell them whatever you like.
I'm sorry, I'm in the ramble, and there is a man, African American, he has a bicycle helmet. He is recording me and threatening me and my dog. There is an African American man, I am in Central Park. He is recording me and threatening myself and my dog. And my... I'm sorry, I can't hear you either. I'm being threatened by a man in the ramble. Please send the cops immediately. I'm in Central Park in the ramble. I don't know.
Look, she was more of a threat to the dog, right, than he was a threat to her. I mean, that's insane, right? So, look, the woman, Amy Cooper, and the man she called the police on, of course, is Christian Cooper, no relation. And he was at the park. He was just bird watching, right? Now, as far as I know, it's not a crime. But apparently, according to this Karen, it is a crime if you're black. Sucks. So this whole thing started, by the way, when he asked her, hey, can you please put your dog on a leash? Now, that's the rule in Central Park, in the ramble, not the bramble, right? It's the ramble. And that's a rule where any dog has to be on a leash. So she was not following the rules. And he was like, hey, can you please put your dog on a leash? And in return, she literally accuses him of threatening her life and the dog. I mean, seriously. Now, look, inevitably, in a lot of these cases, right, the black man usually gets somebody looking into his record to see what kind of person he is, right? Well, I did a little digging into this man, and I'm going to show you who the real Christian Cooper is.
7 things that make birding absolutely spectacular. Number 7 is probably the best one, what I call the unicorn effect. You know, you hear about birds or you see them in the book, you're like, oh wow, that's an amazing bird. I'd love to see that someday. And then one day you're walking through the woods or through a swamp or whatever, and suddenly flap, 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 flap.
What has been the highlight for you?
The highlight for everyone in the park was a Kirtland's warbler that showed up in Central Park. There's maybe 3,000 to 6,000 of them in the entire world, and they all live in this little teeny part of Michigan about this big. And one showed up in Central Park this spring, and we lost our minds.
Yeah. Yeah.
We absolutely lost our minds.
Rightfully so.
Yeah.
And I completely missed it. I did not get a chance to see it.
Oh my God. What a terrible, dangerous man this is. He's so passionate about those birds, by the way. He's very suspicious. No. The whole thing is ridiculous, right? No, the guy was clearly not threatening her. And look, again, he was just asking her to actually follow the park rules. But here's the thing. This woman is look, she's a Karen, right? That means that she feels like she's entitled to do whatever she wants, right? How dare this black man come and tell her what to do? No. That's not how that works, according to her brain, right? No. I tell you what to do. This entire thing, this is why, even being the whitest person on the planet, I get tired of white people. I know I don't think mayo is too spicy, thank you, but nonetheless, it's ridiculous. Now, Central Park Karen, that's the moniker that she's been given. She's got a lot of backlash for this, right? So now, if you're just sending your death threats, don't, right? That doesn't accomplish anything. That said, her calling the cops on a black man is almost like a death threat. I mean, she literally did threaten his life by saying, I'm going to call the cops. I'm going to call the cops on you. I mean, we've seen how that played out in many different ways, right? And so knowing the NYPD, you shouldn't be blind to that unfortunate reality that a lot of African Americans, men especially, that are unarmed are killed by police all the time. She should have known that. Maybe she didn't. Maybe she did. I don't know. But I think she got what she deserved. Now, since the video began circulating on social media, Miss Cooper has been placed on administrative leave by her employer, so she's basically lost her job, and her dog has been surrendered to the shelter. So, well, look, she, of course, adopted that dog a few days earlier. Now that dog hopefully is going to a better home. I hope he gets adopted by somebody awesome. She's gotten a flood of negative attention. Of course, she deserved that. And so now, as a result, she says, well, I'm deeply sorry, right? I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. So let me get her apology, right? She says, I want to publicly apologize to everyone. I'm not a racist. I did not mean to harm that man in any way. Funny way of showing it. I sincerely and humbly apologize to everyone, especially to that man, his family. It was unacceptable, and I humbly and fully apologize to everyone who's seen that video, everyone that's been offended, everyone who thinks of me in a lower light, and I understand why they do. When I think about the police, I'm such a blessed person. I've come to realize, especially today, that I think of the police as a protection agency, and unfortunately, this has caused me to realize there are so many people in this country that don't have that luxury. Look, I think she knew what she was doing, right? She knew what she was doing, even though, yes, she's very sorry now. Sorry she got caught, right? Sorry that she got that negative media attention because, look, you could hear her in that video. Clearly exaggerating. She says, yeah, you know what? I'm going to call the cops on you. I'm going to tell them that you're threatening my life. And then when she's on the phone, you heard the theatrics. No, clearly, she amped that up in a way to do him harm. She wanted to do him harm, to get him arrested or removed or whatever. That's the entitlement Karen mentality. And that's the problem, right? But she says, I can't believe my life is being destroyed right now. Well, you kind of caused it. That's your fault. You kind of brought it on yourself. But she says, I think I was just scared. When you're alone in the ramble, you don't know what's happening. It's not inexcusable. It's not defensible. Well, then why'd you do it? Look, I know the reason that you were scared. Black man. Even someone as inoffensive looking as Christian Cooper, birdwatcher man, right? I look at that guy and I'm like, he really likes birds. I'm not at all, right? But she's scared of the racist stereotypes, right? I think there's unconscious bias, probably maybe even some conscious bias at play here. And so, but look, she admits also that there's privilege, right? And she's right about that because there are different Americas for different people. My experience as a white man, way different than the experience of a white female, and of course, way, way different than a black man or a black female, right? And so we got all these different experiences based on superficial differences. What we got to do is find a way to change that, right? I feel like we would have less instances like this if people would stop being, racist. I mean, that seems like an obvious thing to say, but remember, you don't have to be a Klan wearing KKK member to have racist thoughts, right? To have that bias against another person or another person based on the type, the color of their skin, right? You don't have to be in that out and out, but you just have to have those stereotypes. You have to believe that big black scary man is going to hurt me because, well, there's no reason that I would think that, but I just think that anyway, right? That is racism. And we have to find a way to change that. And part of that change, I think, is to recognize that we have privilege, not only when we call the police, right? But also when we're just out in public and realize that privilege. And by the way, it doesn't mean that we're rich. It just means that we get the benefit of the doubt. And so we realize that privilege and we realize that we have this unconscious bias that a lot of us need to work through. And look, I understand that, when I grew up, I was having that unconscious bias myself based on stereotypes that I had heard. And the only way to really get through that is to face it head on and realize, you know what? Yeah, some of the things that I thought, some of the things that I was taught when I was younger on how to perceive people that are different than me were wrong, and that I was wrong for thinking those things. And we've got a long way to go, but I think that's one place that we can actually start. Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed that free video. Now I'm going to have to ask you a favor. Between the demonetization and the YouTube algorithm messing around with view counts, etc., we're having a hard time adjusting to the new YouTube reality, which is where you guys come in. See, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/TYTNation, set up to help us rely on you guys, the viewers, instead of big corporate ads. Look, you know the show. You know I'm not in favor of big corporations anyway. So help us transition away from relying on the ad model to pay the bills and sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. That goes a long way to help us keep the lights on. And you guys will know that you're supporting independent progressive media.